Right, let's get one thing straight. Whilst everyone is discussing Pakistan versus India, the current crisis has very little to do with Pakistan versus India as such, and actually goes much deeper, and I'll tell you why. The fascist Hindutva butcher of Gujarat, Mahindra Modi, is no stranger to state-sponsored terrorism against innocent Muslim civilians, whether Indian or Pakistani. His disgraceful role in the Gujarat riots led to the deaths of thousands of innocent Indian Muslims, not Pakistani Muslims, during his reign as Chief Minister of Gujarat in 2002, and it's testament to why some refer to him as the Indian Netanyahu. His far-right fascist government launched a series of terrorist attacks upon Pakistan this week, killing scores of innocent civilians, women, children, and targeting mosques, so-called terrorist infrastructure sites. The Hindutva fascists acted unilaterally, arrogantly, without any legal basis, disregarding international law, legal due process, without providing any evidence for its allegations to evidence that Pakistan was involved in the Pahalgam attacks earlier in April. He acts as judge, jury, and executioner, targeting innocent civilians, civilian infrastructure, and places of worship. Furthermore, he weaponized water by suspending cooperation on the Indus Waters Treaty, a decades-old water-sharing agreement that's been a vital lifeline for millions in Pakistan, violating international norms, thereby punishing ordinary civilians and depriving them of their right to the region's water. The truth is, Hindutva fascist Modi acts like his genocide perpetrating Zionist friend Netanyahu, both emboldened in their terrorism. Like Israel, Hindutva India, it seems, has started a Zionist approach to Pakistan, and we can expect more bombing of innocent targets simply with a charge of so-called terrorism outside any so-called international law, as Zionists do in Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, and Iran. India's intelligence agencies have long been accused by independent analysts of backing separatist terrorist groups within Pakistan, including elements in Balochistan, the TTP, and Pashtun nationalist movements. A shadow war that has gone largely unaddressed in global forums. Furthermore, fascist Modi has long used Zionist tactics upon the innocent Kashmiri Muslims. India has arrested thousands of innocent people in occupied Kashmir under arbitrary detention, where they can be held for 2 years under the Public Safety Act, often called a lawless law by Amnesty International. They have even demolished innocent Kashmiri people's homes without legal notice, without any court orders, targeting those who participate in protests or journalists critical of the government. Even Indian Muslims are not safe from Hindutva fascist Modi's far-right extremists either. Mob violence, car vigilante lynchings, anti-Muslim riots, and systematic police inaction, Hindutva-fueled violence has grown alarmingly across India. The ideological and tactical parallels between Hindutva extremism and Zionist aggression are both numerous and alarming. Take the tactics of Hindutva in Kashmir and compare them to the Zionism in Palestine. For example, occupation and military control. We see heavy militarization of Kashmir since 1989, the revocation of the Article 370 in 2019, which removed the semi-autonomous status for the Kashmiri people. Likewise, we see the military occupation of West Bank since 1967, and we see Gaza under blockade since 2007. Take legal engineering. We see the abrogation of the constitutional safeguards, Article 370, which allows now non-Kashmiris to settle in Kashmir. And on the Zionist side, we see nation-state law, which defines Israel as Jewish, enabling laws favoring Jewish settlement. Take a look at demographic changes. It encourages Hindu settlements in Kashmir post-2019, whilst in the Zionist occupation of Palestine, settler expansion in West Bank to alter demographics and facts on the ground. Delegitimization of resistance labels Kashmiri resistance as terrorism, whilst the Zionists label Palestinian resistance as terrorism. When we look to media and information warfare, We see that the narratives are controlled via state media, arresting of journalists, controlling the narrative internationally, and criminalizing pro-Palestinian advocacy on the Palestinian side. Shared technology and intelligence. We see that Israel and both India collaborate heavily in surveillance, counter-insurgency, drone technology, and military hardware, often tested in Palestine and then used in Kashmir. When it comes to use of surveillance and technology, we see biometric databases, internet shutdowns, and AI for repression in Kashmir. Whilst on the Zionist side, we see Pegasus spyware, facial recognition in occupied territories. However, this conflict wasn't always there. You may be surprised when we look at the Hindu-Muslim dynamic under Islamic rule. We find something else. Under the Mughal rule 1526 to 1857, Hindus and Muslims in India coexisted within a largely stable society. Similarly, Jews lived for centuries under the Ottoman Caliphate in relative peace alongside Muslims, free to practice their religion and manage their communal affairs. However, after the British colonialists took control over India 1858, as well as across the Muslim world with the demise of the Ottoman Caliphate, the British incited and exploited the Hindu-Muslim identity and differences as part of its divide and rule policy to control and govern its new colony. The British strategically cultivated ethno-religious nationalism in India, just as it did in Palestine, to serve their geopolitical interests, deliberately pitting Jews and Arabs, Hindus and Muslims against each other to serve imperial interests, and then left behind unresolved crises, land disputes, border disputes as they withdrew. The ideological birth, rise and sustaining of both Hindutva and Zionism are deeply rooted in the surrogate legacies of the British colonial empire, which seeded the communal hatred for control. At the core of the fascist Hindutva political ideology is making India Hindu Rashtra, a Hindu nation only without Muslims, promoting Hindu supremacy, just like the Zionist supremacists who steal Palestinian land, perpetrate genocide, and seek to ethnically cleanse it of all Palestinians. Only Muslim political unity can stop Hindutva and Zionism terrorism. At the heart of the crisis in Kashmir and Palestine lies a common thread. Both are Muslim majority lands with rich Islamic histories stolen from their people by British colonial powers and handed to belligerent forces to sow division and instability across the Muslim world. This wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate strategy of imperialism. Kashmir was gifted to India, Palestine to the Zionists. Both serve as a permanent wound to the Ummah, kept open by modern-day colonial powers who continue to prop up the occupiers. However, both Hindutva and Zionism are not only ideologically shallow, intellectually primitive, but extremely weak. They only exist and survive due to external political powers, which provide them the lifeline which needed, especially the West. Even worse, a lot of this support comes from within the Muslim world. Arab Muslim nations shamefully lead this lifeline. Saudi Arabia, for example, provides a quarter of India's total crude oil imports. Qatar provides gas to India. Indian trade with Arab GCC states is in excess of $150 billion annually. And while the Zionists bomb Gaza and massacre civilians, the Arab Muslim regimes continue to normalize relations, protect and support these genocide war criminals. Meanwhile, international law, treaties, the United Nations have proven completely useless in defending Muslim life, honor or land. They are tools of the same Western order that created and sustains the Zionist and Hindutva projects. Hindutva, Zionism, the US have constantly shown these institutions and treaties are not worth the paper that they are written on. They come together to unite against the Muslims, whether it's Palestine, Pakistan, without regard for cause, nationality, geography, or ethnicity. After all of this, I ask brothers and sisters, isn't it high time we as Muslims finally wake up and realize? 1. The United Nations, international law, international treaties, the West and their institutions do not serve the interests of the Muslims. So we will still continue to call them for help. The Islamic Ummah must realize and cease to call these idols to liberate Palestine or Kashmir or dispense any form of justice. Secondly, we need to expose the fascist, far-right ideology of Hindutva and Zionism, and the world needs to know and see the fascism of these beliefs. Thirdly, we need to work and exert our efforts to work for political unity of the Muslim Ummah. Without political unity, the Islamic Ummah will never be able to defend Muslim life, honor, or land. Fourthly, both Kashmir and Palestine must be and will be liberated, inshallah. But this can only happen with Muslim political unity and through the Muslim armies. Therefore, we must call for the intervention of the Muslim armies to intervene in both Palestine and Kashmir to stop the terrorism, to stop the oppression of Zionism and Hindutva, and liberate the people of these lands. So the question is, will we wake up? Or will we keep repeating the same mistakes, expecting justice from those who built their empires upon the blood of this Muslim Ummah? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.